Good morning, viewers, and a very warm welcome to the Indian Lawyer Legal Tips presented by the Indian Lawyer and Allied Services. I am Sushila Ramvarma, advocate and chief consultant at the firm. Today's topic would be of great significance to a number of us because it deals with the social media. Social media, as we all know, has touched upon our lives as a very important and a very significant part of our lives, and we are time and again reminded about its importance, its uses, as well as its misuses. Because of all these reasons, we felt that we should make our viewers aware of what social media laws are applicable and what is deemed to be a crime under these laws. While everything is reported on social media, without a doubt, social media itself is a matter of controversy, and time and again we notice criticism against the social media for reasons of spreading fake news or incitement to violence or trying to impact somebody's private rights by reporting matters which are not correct. So these are the reasons that social media has always come under the scanner for. Now let us first understand how the social media impacts society in general and the youth in particular. I would say the hate speech and symbols that are available on the internet, then the sale of illegal goods that is very rampant on the social media, sexual abuse and harassment. There are privacy infringement issues where a lot of things are done which actually violate the privacy of a particular individual. Then there are intellectual property violations where the intellectual property rights of individuals or organizations is stolen and misused. Then you have bullying on social media, which has become a very big thing these days because it involves harassment, derogatory rumors, defamation, threats, etc. Then, of course, you have fraud, which is again another very important aspect of social media. So these are some of the ways in which social media affects the public and more particularly the youth. Now, let us address a very important question for social media. Why should we have strict laws on social media? The answer is very simple. So, the social media affects 1.4 billion people across India. When we talk about the social media, we are not talking about the impact of only urban India. It has an impact in the rural parts of the country, the small towns. If you go to any small town or even if you go to a village, you'll see people are so addicted by the social media that everybody is just sitting and viewing things on their phones. This shows the kind of level that social media has now started covering. It is therefore extremely important that there should be stringent laws and regulations that can curtail the use of social media if it is not done correctly. In recent times, we've had riots because of social media reports. We've had controversies such as fake news on platforms like Facebook. There have been controversies on WhatsApp where people are giving fake news or giving fake news or fake remedies which people are very happily practicing. So there are many things which can be protected only if we have strict laws. Now let us discuss the laws that are applicable to social media. The first one is the Constitution of India, 1950. There are two articles that have great significance on the social media. The first is Article 19 of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to freedom of speech and expression. It is, however, important to bear in mind that this right is subject to reasonable restrictions under Article 19. That is, one cannot utilize one's right to freedom of speech and expression by invoking incitement or violence or being defamatory in one's speech. The second article that's of importance is Article 21, which says no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except by the process established by law. This article guarantees the right to privacy, which has become very, very important in the digital age. Social media platforms often use personal data and breach the privacy of several leading personalities, which now is a crime. Apart from this, you have the criminal law, which earlier was the Indian Penal Code, but currently it is called the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita or BNS 2023. This particular act incorporates several critical provisions that affect the regulation of social media and addresses concerns such as defamation, misinformation, and maintenance of public order. So Section 152 of the BNS introduces terms like electronic communication and financial means into legal discourse. Now, this recognizes the role of digital platforms and financial transactions, which can incite serious offenses by its very use. This provision is designed to address the complexities of modern communication methods as well as the social media. I would now like to touch upon 3 sections in the BNS which are of great significance in the social media. The first is Section 299, which talks about religious sentiments and malevolent deeds. This section focuses on actions that are intended to insult or provoke religious sentiments with malevolent intention. Another section that's extremely important is one that deals with defamation. This is covered by Section 356 of the BNS. In this particular section, if anyone tries to defame another over the social media, that person will be punished under the law. The third important section is Section 353 of the BNS, which tries to tackle the spread of false information. It criminalizes the deliberate attempt to create or disseminate or publish false information which will have an effect on society. Misinformation is now an offense under the Act. Apart from these laws, you have this Information and Technology Act 2000, which governs and regulates the digital world. The Information Technology Act has a Section 66A, which criminalizes sending grossly offensive information via electronic means. This section targets acts involving the dissemination of offensive content or false information, which is intended to cause annoyance, inconvenience, or harm, with penalties which can go up to lakhs of rupees as well as imprisonment which can go up to 3 years. In 2018, this act was amended, the Information Technology Act, and a Section 69A was included in this act, which gave the Indian government extensive powers to block, monitor, or intercept information on computer systems for reasons related to national security, public order, or foreign relations. The government can direct intermediaries to block public access to specific information if they deem it necessary for these purposes. Another very important act as far as the social media is concerned is the Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act 1986. This act is extremely important because it tries to prevent sexual objectification and indecent representation of women in media and advertisements. It aims to curb the objectification and exploitation of women in digital spaces, ensuring that the content which depicts women in a derogatory or exploitative manner is penalized. Now let us discuss some important cases that involve the media. I would say the media, that is the print media as well as the social media. The first is a case in which a very famous tennis player, Boris Becker, was involved. In this particular case, which is known as Avik Sarkar versus State of Bengal 2014, the Supreme Court dealt with the matter. The facts of the case are such that a German magazine called Stern had published an article of Boris Becker and his fiancée in a nude photograph. This particular photograph was then reproduced as a cover story in an Indian magazine called Sports World, which also had a provocative caption about Becker's stance against racism. Following this, Kolkata-based newspaper Ananda Bazar Patrika published the photograph and the article. A lawyer from Kolkata, Avik Sarkar, who regularly read both the publications, filed a complaint against both the publication houses under Section 292 of the IPC regarding obscenity. When the matter reached the Supreme Court, the court felt that just by publishing pictures of a famous tennis star and his fiancée who were nude, it does not mean that the publication of such pictures were obscene. The court felt that every picture of a woman or a semi-nude woman cannot be deemed to be obscene unless it has the tendency to arouse feelings or reveal an overt sexual desire. The court was therefore of the opinion that this particular photograph, which had been reproduced in Sports World as well as in the newspaper, was as per contemporary community standards and there was nothing obscene about it. Another extremely important case that made its headlines because it was one of the first in the social media was Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, a 2015 case which again went up to the Supreme Court. As per the facts, the police had arrested two women, Shreya Singhal and another woman, for posting offensive and objectionable comments on Facebook about the impropriety of shutting down the city of Mumbai after the death of a political leader. The police made the arrest under Section 66A of the IT Act, which punishes any person who sends through a computer resource or communication device any information that is grossly offensive or with the knowledge of its falsity, the information is transmitted for the purpose of causing inconvenience, anger, insult, injury, hatred, or ill will. The women then filed a petition challenging the constitutional validity of Section 66A on the ground that it violates their right to freedom of expression. The Indian judicial system greatly benefits from this landmark case as this case centers on the basic right to freedom of speech and expression, which is guaranteed by Article 19 of the Constitution, and which challenged Section 66A of the IT Act. The division bench of the Supreme Court was of the opinion that Section 66A cannot cover every opinion or comment, as this would be a hindrance to the freedom of speech. Now, in conclusion, I would like to state that since social media has become a cornerstone of modern life with billions engaged on it daily, there is a need for greater and stricter laws. It is believed, as per some data which is there on social media, that an average individual is spending around 142 minutes each day. This does not, of course, mean the entire population, but a greater number of people in the society are spending this kind of time. This is not only dangerous for health, but it also shows the kind of impact that social media has on us. Some of the things that the social media does is definitely positive. For example, the Me Too movement, in which several women came up to discuss the way they had been exploited, abused, and harassed. This was, of course, a positive thing, because of which a number of offenders were arrested and action was taken against them. But that is not to say that all types of movements that are there on the social media are correct. I would say that we still require very stringent laws in India in order to tackle problems like cyberbullying, misinformation, privacy concerns, and we need to caution our users of the internet that they should not believe in everything that has been uploaded on the internet as the gospel truth. Now, with this, I think I will say goodbye, and till we meet next week, thank you and namaste. If you have found this video useful, please like, share and subscribe, and let more and more people in India become legally aware of their rights. Thank you and namaste.